Hey guys, just out here enjoying a late sunny afternoon. I want to show you guys real quick carving setups. I know I've gone over it before, trimming the backs off of the teeth, how it helps. I have a good example here. I don't remember if I had actually shown you where I trimmed the teeth, the backs of the teeth down, and then, you know, the difference between a stock chain and a modified chain, or tuned. I call it tuning a chain. So that's what we're going to do here. Essentially, if you look at the teeth right now, as they sit, that's right out of the factory, right out of the box. Now, as the tooth comes around the nose here, all this back part is sticking up. So the reason that we trim them is to reduce that drag. That's the primary reason. As soon as you get rid of like that little bit sticking up, your nosier tooth is cutting a lot more efficiently and being able to go under the wood easier, deeper, faster. The other thing is as you take these backs off of the teeth, it allows for more what I call swim. It allows the chain to be steered and guided where you want it more directly. Now, this isn't the best setup. This isn't the best bar. This is a beat bar. This is a purely stock saw. It's a 028 AV, old school wood boss. Have not done anything to it. So as far as whether to go stock or whether to go modified, whether to go with conversion kits, yeah, that's all good stuff. But this is actually a 325 chain. It's a stock chain that this saw comes with. I didn't change the sprocket. Haven't done anything to the saw. It's a great carving saw with 325 and a longer quarter tip nose bar. I love it personally. On the bigger saws, I like the 325. It rolls real smooth. I've tried the 3/8 low profile, and it's not real good for this. The other thing, this is Oregon chain, so that's why I'm not worried about beating it up or destroying it, because I don't really like Oregon chain. I don't know if you can see on the bottoms of the straps. I use this chain about a day or two, and it's already mushroomed out. You see it looks like it's worn pretty hard. It binds up. It's a tough chain to work with, but it's going to be great for this demonstration, because I'm just going to show you guys real quick going from stock chain to backs trimmed off, how much faster it cuts. So let's get on with it. When I cut outside my rough outs, I use a used hydraulic oil. From when I changed the fluid in this machine, there's about 5 gallons of used hydraulic oil, and instead of sending it to be reclaimed, I figure it works great as bar and chain lube. It really does. It does burn. So you might see smoke, you might see blackening, but with a rough out carving, that doesn't matter so much. The thing about hydraulic oil is when it burns, it smokes and it leaves a real heavy soot in the carving, and it has a flash point, so it flames up right away. Gets pretty ugly, out of control pretty quick. To do this tune, we're just going to use the angle grinder. Oh yeah, I'm working on a little bear carving here, and I'll show you the difference. And you'll see, especially when you get in the knotty wood here, the stock chain it hesitates, it drags, it heats up. So that's the fun here. I can destroy this bar, I can destroy this chain. I don't care about either one of them. The bar has served me a great life, and there's hardly any hardening left on it. So let her rip. All right, so you saw cutting here, even when I came out here, even in here, it was like the chain didn't want to go in. It didn't want to bite into the wood. Mind you, it's a stock chain, fresh out of the package, been used maybe a day, day and a half, maybe 2 days total. Should still be sharp because I didn't cut any dirty wood with it. Chain looks good. Besides the smoke from the oil, which hopefully that'll go away. It could be because of some binding in the bar. But we're gonna go and do the adjustment, and then I'll show you the next, I'll show you how much better it performs, how much easier it cuts the wood. You saw the piece moving around a lot. The saw was working really hard to get into the wood, and that's what we don't want. Okay, so we're just gonna take off just about that back line. You see that back line right there? We're gonna take off just about that much of the back tooth. There's that little tiny line, which is your angle. You can see the angle's all the same on every tooth. There's no nicks, no chips. It should be cutting a lot faster than that. So we're gonna tune it up and see what she does after. See it now? And the angle of the back doesn't have to be exact. I just like to clean it off. I just want that clearance. Now, you see here, that little dark spot right off of the tip of my thumb. See the shiny and then the little dark spot? It's a little burr. Now, if you want to be super picky, you can get rid of those burrs. If this were a chain that I cared about and a bar that I cared about, I would get rid of those burrs, but those burrs are actually going to shear off as soon as I start cutting. And the only issue, if you don't get rid of that little burr, it's going to hit that tooth it could hit the tooth in the kerf and it could chip it. It could dull it. It knocks around in the kerf, but most of them you can remove. You see I'm just pushing that back and forth with my thumb and it falls off. And that's what I'll do if I'm, you know, if one of my better chains. And here too, I went really fast doing this. That's what you don't want to have happen. You see the black on the end of the tooth? I overheated the tooth a little bit. What that does is it disturbs the bedding. The tooth actually, this is a chrome plating, and the body of the tooth, if you overheat the tooth too much, it disturbs the bedding between the chrome and the actual body of the tooth, and the chrome will start to chip off. But we're going fast here. We're just going to give this a spin, and you'll see the difference right away. Now, mind you, I said I don't like Oregon chains. They're not very good chains to begin with. These rakers are a bit high. You saw a bit of difference. It cut a little bit easier. Now I want a little bit more bite. So, and see what's happening here. It's that stupid double raker thing. We're gonna get rid of that guy. This guy right there. Now this guy, because it's not, I mean it is, you saw it was pulling into the wood a little bit better, but this guy here, we're just going to touch it, just barely touch it. Just like that. Just a little bit, just a tap. This chain is really hot from all the friction. That's why I'm not really grabbing onto it. But so I'm getting rid of that double raker, getting rid of this guy on this side. There's no need for it. All it does is slow the chain down as you come around. Okay, so even if you just look at this chain, it's starting to look pretty cool. It's starting to look pretty badass. Like it's actually now it's outfitted to do something. You know, I like the way that a tune chain looks. If I was being real picky here, there's still a lot of extra metal in here on the tops that I would like to get rid of because it's still causing some drag. But for this intents and purposes, we're gonna go with it. The other thing is with the rakers, if you're using like I use a worn down 60 grit. 60 or 80 is good. You don't want to go 40 because it's just going to chew too much away. Worn down. This has been used quite a bit. It's perfect. You saw I could just get in there and touch. When you're hitting your rakers, you don't want to hit the tips of your cutters because that's going to ultimately dull them. So you want to stay away from that. You know, out of the box, this chain should cut really well because it has a semi-decent gullet. The very bottom here, I would like to see a lot more taken out of there. get the chain cutting even more aggressively, because as you get that nice curve, as that chain cuts in, as it goes this way, it just peels that wood. It's hard to explain really with my hands, but the more curve you have, like the nicer curve you have on that, the faster, cleaner, smoother it's going to cut. Now, on the flip side of that, flat filing, that's more of an angle in and a bottom, just a little gullet in the bottom. That's like whoosh, whop, whoosh, whop. The tooth does that. I mean, it cuts really super quick, bites right down in hard, and then throws it back through the way that a tooth works is it cuts into the wood and it throws the wood chip out from under this way in that channel. The raker hits it and pushes it past the other tooth. And technically, that's supposed to how it's supposed to work. Is the raker's supposed to carry that wood chip with it and allow that tooth that it just emptied to keep doing that. The tooth, when you look at it as its saw goes down, if you slow-mo that, if I could cut a piece of clear plastic with a chainsaw, what you'd see is like slow-mo, you'd see woof, 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 you'd see these peels coming out and the raker catching it and pushing it to the end. That's basically how it works. If you push down too hard with a saw, your tooth is going woof, 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 woof. It's taking more chips faster and it's clogging up. Your raker is meant to only push so much until it gets past it and gets into the other tooth, and then that's where saws bog down real hard. So I hope this little analysis and you know what we're doing here, it's fun for me to do this. It's nice to get my stuff tuned and talk to you guys about it at the same time. I hope it's helping understand more what a saw does, how it works. So we're gonna mess with this one. Already, I've felt it already, that sucker just wants to go in. It's still a little slow, still a little laggy for my taste, but I'm super picky about how to do that. I just don't like Oregon chain. Now, mind you, this bar is beat. She's heating up. That's why the oil. That's why this chain cuts so much faster now. But like I said, I don't like Oregon chain in general. It's just crappy chain. It lags. Personally, I like steel 325. That stuff just rips, especially they have, I think it's called a SL Pro or something like that. But you saw that last cut I did, man. That sucker just went right in. Better, much better, even for a beat up bar and a real crappy chain. Really doing this to this chain is the only thing that's keeping that bar working I'm going to work this bar. I'm going to keep using it until this tip completely splits and explodes, and then I may cut it down and reharden the tip into another bar. Who knows? I keep these bars around because I do fix them at some point when I can get the welding equipment. But you saw where I was making the cuts, the real tight curve cuts, getting rid of that back of that tooth. You can even see the burnishing here. That's from heat, from doing those twisty cuts. That's the back of the tooth dragging. You can see it, see the colorization right there. I don't know if you can see it. I see the color there. See that little dark whoosh, you know, kind of like a afterburner type thing. I'm carving so fast, man. It's like I got afterburner. But yeah, as soon as you get rid of that back of that tooth, it allows for that. And I was pushing it pretty hard. And everything's heating up, so it's going to cut a lot harder. But making those curves cuts and the plunge cuts is a lot easier after I did that little modification. It plunges right in now. Goal with this chain, you see that handful of stuff that I was pulling out, and what I don't like about Oregon chain is the chain actually can grab some pretty big chunks. It can grab some pretty big peels, right? It's grabbing good big peels, but then it's grabbing powdery crap too. Part of that's because of the way it was sharpened stock. Part of it's just in the general design of the chain. It's still real heavy, bogging itself down. We're going to work on that. We're going to resharpen everything. Right now it works. It does its job. It's going to be fine for out here. I'm going to use it for dirty wood. So we'll beat on it. We'll dull it. We'll see if we can break it. But the whole point of this experiment, the whole point of making this video is make that saw handle lighter. That was my whole point of this video, is you want that saw, you want it so you come up to the wood, you're holding the weight of the saw, and that saw just goes, it just goes right in, and it just wants to do its thing. And all my other saws with the steel and the Carlton chain and the Windsor chains, they do that. They really bite in. Some of the Oregon chain on the quarter pitch is pretty nasty, and it does bite good. Like the Full House chain, I love it. That's an old Oregon chain. That's old school Oregon chain. I used to love Oregon. But this newer stuff, I'm not impressed with. So, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.